manifestation is a whole different realm than like, how can I get this car or this house? This is like real manifestation. The second part of that is that women have to graduate above the intellect. And unfortunately, in our society, we are conditioned to overly develop the intellect at the cost of the higher mind. So we never really get above the intellect. And what happens with that is our personality becomes rigid as we age. Our personality becomes controlling or, manipulative, or it's not malicious. It's just we're so obsessed with thinking that we never get to the next level of our life.
Welcome to Coming Into Focus. I am your host, Helen Tansey. Lee Marie, welcome. And I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, I love our conversations always.
I'm very excited to get into this conversation with you, but I just want to let our listeners know that you are an entrepreneur, you are an international speaker, and you focus on holistic wealth and feminine financial freedom. You are also the author of Beautiful Money, and you bring like a meaningful mix of like leadership, wellness, and mindfulness to the world. And as somebody who knows you and have worked with you, you just have such a beautiful way of helping people navigate through difficult situations, and especially, I believe, with money and women, because it's over the years, it's been very patriarchal way for women with finances. And I love how your beautiful femininity is woven into that.
Thank you. It's a journey. I think we're in sort of this era of embodying what we are here to teach or here to be. And I have to tune in because I do tend to kind of default a bit more masculine. So I think all the things that I just also, it's like a reminder to myself, speaking to myself to remember to connect with that feminine, because I find we're really conditioned to drive on the masculine. And as we age, you can really feel that,
Well, some of the things, there are 4 things that I wanted to get to with you today, if we have the time. One of them is I want to talk about manifestation. I wanted to also talk about just sort of reflecting on 2025. Like, it was like, whoa, for me, it was like a huge one. You also always have this beautiful way of inviting in the next year. So how we can sort of be in alignment with what we want for 2026. And being that it's November, it's kind of nice because it gives us time to do that. And then lastly, the power of allowing. So let's start with manifestation, because you and I have been practicing, I think, manifestation for quite a long time. And a lot of people think it's woo-woo, but I now find that mainstream, there's this gentleman, Dr. Jim Doty, who is a neurosurgeon and a neuroscientist, and he wrote a book called Magic. And now, like, they're showing the scientific proof of manifestation. And there's a lot of talk about it right now. Over the last couple of years, I feel it's really building. And I think we're kind of moving past the idea of manifestation being just like vision boards and say it and believe it and visualize it. Like, it's going a lot deeper, like deeper into the root cause of what it is that you are really looking for. When we think we want money, it's like, well, what does money bring you? So I'd love to explore that with you, because I know that this is something that is very powerful for you, that not only for your own life, but what you share with others.
Yeah. So I think the secret when it comes to manifesting, we can all manifest from the masculine, right? Like the way we've kind of been trained to do it, the external world leads, we kind of figure out what we want and we hustle our way to getting that from that masculine. Where the magic really happens is when we have the harmony between the male and the female. And so I think you kind of have a practice run in your life where you're learning the skills of manifesting. And that's where, it might be a vision board or practicing with certain things, the house you want, more of the external things. I feel like that's a little bit of a practice round in how to manifest. And for sure, the mind thinks in pictures. So it is very important that you have a clear image of where you're directing yourself. And I think that's the number one thing for women. A lot of women aren't clear. They're so distracted all day with their job or their
Yes.
career. There's no clear direction. So what manifests is chaos and a hecticness. As we mature spiritually, we start to figure out what our soul path is. And we start to figure out really what we're here to do. And that's more when we graduate to the destiny work. And when you start manifesting from that balanced place of masculine, feminine, that's when you see your true, authentic power. And in order for that to happen, the heart must be open. It can't be from ego. The heart must be open. It can't be because I need recognition or I need to be popular or I need to be important. That's the masculine kind of old school way of manifesting. But when you graduate past that and it's like, how can I serve instead of what can I get? You start to unravel why you're really here. And that's when you're given this canvas to manifest from a much higher dimension. And that requires unconditional love. And I don't know if we totally get there in the human form, but our heart really does open to the next level. That's when you start figuring out, why am I really here? Like, who am I? Why am I really here? And why does the world need me? Right? When you start to answer those questions, that's step one. The heart opens. And usually we do get crushed into fine wine in that dimension. Sometimes I get asked, like, well, how do you know if your heart is opening? Or it's usually through human, I don't want to say fracturing, but our personality gets broken because of trauma or grief or death or something big cracks our heart open because we're literally in surrender.
Yeah.
So that's step one. When that starts to happen, kind of the divine takes over your path, right? And manifestation is a whole different realm than like, how can I get this car or this house? This is like real manifestation. The second part of that is that women have to graduate above the intellect. And unfortunately, in our society, we are conditioned to overly develop the intellect at the cost of the higher mind. So we never really get above the intellect. And what happens with that is our personality becomes rigid as we age. Our personality becomes controlling or, manipulative, or it's not malicious. It's just we're so obsessed with thinking that we never get to the next level of our life. So the opening of the heart must be matched with the connection to the higher mind, which I call the supermind. And of course, Eastern philosophies teach you how to get there. I do believe you can get there through meditation or through prayer or a combination of the two. But it requires the stillness of the thinking mind. And I literally get texts from women every day that are really smart. They've got 1 million degrees, but they can't manifest what they really desire in their heart because their thinking mind is in the driver's seat instead of the higher mind. So they get stuck. And this is where they get to a place in their life where they can't feel joy, they can't feel peace, they can't feel fulfillment, even if the outside world is looking so put together. Because you get to a place where you're like, the answers to my destiny are not out there. They're not on Instagram. They're not on, yes, it's lovely to read all the business books, but you're here to pave a new path, not to follow an old one. It served a purpose, but you're here for a unique purpose. And if you're looking out there to figure out where you're supposed to go, you're going to be disappointed and compare yourself your whole life. So we're in a place right now for women that they are fracturing open into greatness. It's almost like we've been totally broken over the last several years. And now we're like clean slates for the divine to lead. But what it's really important to remember is the soul has to be at the driver's seat, not the intellect.
So, a couple of things then. One, when you started talking, which I really love, is that I think a gift of aging when you're younger, you're manifesting, like, I want. And I think as you get older, you begin to realize it's not about what we take, it's about what we leave behind. So there's a big shift in that. So there is a maturity, I think, that comes with it. And then my next question is, with alignment, when you're manifesting, does it need to be in alignment with your soul? So if you're asking, for something, but your soul is like, I don't want that, because we can be conditioned to think like we have to have this fancy house or this car or this beautiful thing. But our soul is like, no, actually, we don't need that. What you really want is freedom. What you really want is love.
I mean, I don't know if anyone has the perfect answer to that because I think there are the divine mysteries, but I do feel that we do have to go through different levels and stages of maturity. And I think we do have to practice our inner power and how to manifest with maybe more trivial things. And then as we mature, Carl Jung called it like the season, the morning, afternoon, and evening of our lives. And I think as we move into the afternoon and evening of our lives, we're looking more about deep purpose and how can I serve and I want to leave a legacy, and less about the junk that I can't bring with me when I move on, right? So what I believe is that there is this weaving of the masculine and feminine. And they say that the subconscious is feminine and the conscious is masculine. And so we have to be in harmony with natural law and harmony with our own masculine, feminine to really understand what it means to manifest at a very mature, spiritually mature level.
Mm-hmm.
What we really want to manifest is our soul path.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to manifest a bunch of stuff that makes us look good on the outside, but leaves us empty and overwhelmed and distracted on the inside, because then we spend our whole life, it's like we spend our whole life getting that brilliant position at our career, but we neglected our true values our whole life, like spending time with our
Yeah.
kids, taking care of our health. So we don't want to do that. And we can always course correct. And sometimes it could be like I work with women who at 65, they realize, wow, Leo Tolstoy wrote about this. It's like when you reflect back on your life, you want to make sure it was true and aligned with your values. But unfortunately, we're in a world of distraction where everything is trying to distract us away from our soul purpose. So a lot of women don't know who they are and they don't contemplate what they're really here to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why there's more emotional and mental heart distress right now. I think it's for a good purpose. I think it's the collective, like especially empaths. We are feeling the collective fracturing.
Yeah.
But it is on purpose so that we all wake up to why we're really here and we stop living superficial facades that do nothing for the planet. They just serve our own interests. And we're not in a place right now where we can be overly obsessed with our own little lives. We have to look at humanity and this planet, and like we have to graduate to true living and authentic living. That's my perspective.
No, and I agree, and I think that's why I was saying that alignment, with your soul, like, so if you're wanting, that job position or something, like, is that really in alignment with your soul's truth? Because if it's not,
Mm,
maybe you'll get it, maybe it won't last, or maybe you'll get it and you won't be
yeah.
fulfilled. And I think we're so conditioned in North America, um, to have things that shows how successful we
Mhm.
are, how loved we are, how fabulous we are. And it's not that at all. I mean, it's the exact opposite of
Yeah.
that, but it's
That's
hard,
such a
that
good,
rewiring.
yes. And you know what I think? I think as the soul takes over more and more, you won't manifest things that aren't on path for you, even
Yes.
if you hustle. Like you'll get to a place in your life where you might be trying to get that thing or that position, but if it's not on path for you, you can't animate it. Like even if you crush yourself trying to make it work, it's almost like the divine's like it's not on path for you. But I think when you're more in your 20s or 30s, you probably can hustle your way to get that thing, but you're still in a season of your life where you're learning the new tools and skills, and probably there are gifts coming from those trainings. So I think it's beautiful to get clear on what you want, and it's beautiful to be like, I want this home. I want this car. I love fashion. So it's wonderful to get clear. And I do think if you write it down with crystal clarity and you feel it in your intuition and your heart that I want this. Like for me, I'm a Virgo. So I like pretty things. And I don't like broken stuff around me. So I can't manifest well if my environment is messy and hectic. I know that about myself. So for anyone listening who is like, you know what, I really want to, this is what I want. Like, why am I settling or compromising? I think it's important to write crystal clear, like that partner, because if you don't know where you're going, the world is going to eat you up and just dish all kinds of stuff to you, and you're not going to be able to sort through it well. So get really clear on that relationship you want, the home you want to live in, the job or business you want to lead, and write that down.
Yeah. And also, are you that? Like, like sometimes we talk about, let's say, the romance, that the person that you want to attract. I'm like, would that person be attracted to you? Like, are you in alignment with that too? So are you living that life? Because yeah, and I think that's an important thing too. Like we want these things, but are we living that already? Right? If you want
Yes.
harmony, or are you living in disharmony? And I believe in, you know, um, get rid of the clutter, clean, like clear the things out, like clear the space. Or even how when people, want to manifest more money, and then you look at their wallet and it's a mess. And I,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of believe in those little things that, when we tidy up that stuff, it's the beautiful flow and the respect that we're showing also.
Mhm. Yeah. And if
Yeah.
there's no space for the beauty you desire because it's filled with chaos and disorder,
Yeah.
you basically have filled the cup with the things you don't want, and it's full of the
Yes.
things you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah. So you spoke earlier about the collective, and I am dying to know what you think about this year, because I found this year so challenging. And I know that some podcasts and spiritual leaders that I listened to, they said it was almost like a stripping. So what isn't working is going to be it's going to be very relevant in your life, and either you do the work to change it, or if you don't, it's like God, the universe, divine, it's going to go, all right, I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
And like what you said, it's like, because we're needed.
I think the world, one of my colleagues and I talk about this a lot. The planetary leadership seats, it's like they're all empty. Like they're they're empty, and the spaces are for the next wave of incredible spiritual leaders to lead this planet. And I think what has happened over the last year is the ones that in their soul, since they were kids, have said, I want to be that. Like, I want to lead. I want to be in charge of like making this world a better place. I think this is it's the soul doing it, but I think subconsciously, I think this past year has been, are you ready for it? And we need to prep you so that you are anchored enough to handle why you're here. And so I think all of us have been tested with our greatest fears over the last 1 to 2 years. So whether that's health, a fear of losing money, fear of losing health, fear of losing relationship, fear of not being liked, like whatever that fear is that you've carried in your body for your life,
It's being mirrored back to
it's like
you.
it's been so ready to leave because you've grown out of it. You don't need it anymore. So it's literally mirrored in your world. And I do think the last year, most women I have been connected with have said, you can't even make this up. The things I have gone through, it's like I'm watching a movie and I'm the lead character. But I do believe that this is because many people are getting anointed, activated to take these leadership seats. But in order to lead from a balanced, mature, aligned way, you have to be strong enough. Because if our field is too weak, we won't be able to handle anything, right? Like the energy of others, of getting betrayed, of getting harmed, will just mush, fall apart. So I think it's like the strong mind, the open heart, and the very strong field. The only way to develop that is to be thrown into situations where we have to keep our kilter.
And almost connecting to something far greater than us. Like the stuff that we're going through, it can't be, it's a deeper level. And even listening to Brene Brown or Dr. Lisa Miller, and there's a lot of talk about we're not connecting to spirit or God or faith. And when you look at young people, sort of the anxiety and depression and suicide attempts, it's because they don't have faith. They don't have spirit. They don't have something to believe in. And I know personally when I go through challenging times, I believe that there's something far greater than me that is there for me that I can lean on and can support me. But younger people, I think, are missing that because we've stopped taking them to church, and I get it. We give them the freedom to choose, but they're not learning about a practice and about something that is higher and greater than us and more loving than we are.
Agreed. I think that is the key right now because I think that what we've been thrown into of really the facade has fractured to strengthen our faith to such a level that it doesn't matter what happens, that we know that there is a higher power.
Yes.
And I think, I mean, even for me, I grew up Catholic. I remember my first grade one teacher was a nun, and she invited me to her house for her prayer practice. And I remember as a young child being almost overwhelmed with the emotion of grace at that, but I didn't know how to explain it. There was such a faith in how she conducted herself, but that left a mark on me. And so throughout the years, I felt that I was a person of faith. But when you go through what we've gone, like women have gone through in the last, not just women, men too,
Yeah.
it's almost like the divine is like, okay, now you're going to hear crickets. You're going to feel like you are not getting saved or helped. And we want to see if you still trust.
Mm.
And I think it's a deeper relationship with faith that's been developed over the last couple years.
And there's something powerful. I know that I remember I was going through something, this was like in my 20s, and there was a friend that I had, and her mom was a Christian, and she knew I was going through stuff, and she went, "I'm praying for you, Helen." And I remember like choking almost. And even though I don't say I don't believe in God, but I don't believe in the God with a gray beard or whatever. But there was something powerful about that, knowing that somebody is praying for you, that somebody is holding that space and wanting, just thinking of you and sending that love to you is so powerful.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do feel people are getting the memo that faith is what we're being strengthened in. Right.
Yes. And I love how everyone, when I listen to things, are like, well, and I do it too, whether it's God, universe, divine, like we don't care. We
Yeah.
don't care what it is. Where it used to be like, oh no, you have to believe in God, or if you believe in the divine or the universe, you're woo woo. And now it's like, doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
just that faith in something greater than us and more beautiful and loving.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about allowing because I wanted to share something with you that when we were talking about sort of the stripping and the shifting and stuff. And as you know, you and I are friends, and you know a bit of my past. And when I was growing up, I grew up in a very volatile home, and my one of my mom's husbands was physically abusive, and we lived in subsidized housing, so it wasn't the greatest of childhoods. Luckily, the universe gave me my brother, which was really beautiful. But one of the things that I began to realize was that control was a way for me to survive. And controlling is the opposite of allowing. And through this year, I've realized that control is still there, but it was like in being busy all the time or doing things. And all of a sudden, it wasn't working. And it was like this boom, like it was like hitting a wall, like it's not working. I can't control if people want to book with me. I can't control this. I can't control that. And then I realized that that control was connected to that childhood trauma. And I realized that it's time for me to put down that shield.
Yes.
It's time for me to allow her to be free and allow myself to just be and have that freedom. And with that, all of a sudden, I could start to feel the opening. But I had to allow it. And I still that controlling thing comes in, but I recognize it now. When I start doing and getting busy, I'm like, no, like just allow.
Mhm.
You're safe. She's safe. She's got you,
Yeah.
right?
I can relate to that because I also do the same. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy to let go of that, but at the same time, I think it's one of our personality traits that allowed us to thrive and survive in those times. And I think we still need to honor it and use it when necessary, right? Like if we notice that we're not in excellence, because I know for me, I thought the way to get rid of that control was to be the opposite and just and after a few years of doing that, I was like, this isn't me. Excellence is really important. And I think that to be in excellence, those are beautiful traits to keep our environment the way we function best, and also to help us be grounded. But it's when it's an over attachment to being like that, or a default, or an extremism, that it is not healthy.
Right.
So I think what you and I have probably gone through is that served us well at the time.
Yes.
We bring her out when we feel it's important, but it isn't an extremism anymore, and it isn't an attachment. It's almost serving us as one of our gifts.
Yes.
I always say this, but like when some of my clients say, well, what's like, I don't know a lot about business, but I want to start a business. What book should I read? I always tell them the 7 Habits, because
Mm-hmm.
like it teaches you to be in excellence, and it teaches you how to avoid crisis mode all the time. It's the one book I think is, if you have to pick one, for me, it's that. I also love The Big Leap, but when I go back to the 7 Habits, I'm like, well, then we have to be in excellence. We do have to have some of those traits. I don't want to call it a control person, but you hear everyone who excels in their life, they do have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get to that level of next level of success.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want it to be in the driver's seat.
Well, we don't want the excellence, like you were saying earlier, to be ego-based.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the controlling aspect too, with like sort of manifestation even, is that when we try to control it, we only see it through our prism.
Yes.
Where if we can just allow it, it just expands and opens it up to everything. But if we're controlling, I know for me, it's like it has to be a certain way. And it there could be other things, but I don't see it because I'm only looking at it through my eyes of how I think it should be.
What sign are you?
I'm Cancer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because,
double, and I'm a double Cancer.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
because I have that too. Even yesterday,
Yeah.
I had a business interview online, and it wasn't exactly, the old me kind of popped out, and I couldn't let it go even after. It probably
Yes.
was so fine, no one noticed. But the difference is I observe myself now,
Mhm.
and I know how to nurture myself. Whereas before, it was like I was so attached to it, I couldn't let it go, and it ruined my whole day.
Yeah.
So even though it's still hard to let go of that, I think you get to that observing yourself versus being taking everything literally and being in it, and you're less emotionally volatile.
Well, my moon is in Virgo. So I find that I definitely have that everything has to be neat and in its place. And
Yes.
if it's not, like, I can't, my husband can go and watch a TV show while there's dishes in the sink. I can't do that. It has to be clean,
Yeah.
in order for me to sit down and relax.
Yeah. I hear
Yeah.
you.
Or even the observer, like, I am pretty, I think, calm and steady, um, until I get behind the wheel, or there's certain things that I try, and when I do it, I now can actually go, "Oh my gosh, there she is." And I can laugh at it, where then I used to beat myself up and going, "Oh no, that's a horrible thing, you gotta be better." Where now I'm just like, "Oh my god, why do I lose my temper like that?" And I can laugh at it, and I think that's an important, I don't know if that's an age thing too, that we're not perfect, and we're sort of more like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not perfect." And we don't beat ourselves up and try to be perfect.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. I think it's definitely at least spiritual maturity. I'm starting to notice more 20-year-olds be like, I was like, when I was your age, I was not that spiritually mature. I feel like
No.
they're really evolving so much faster.
And they're hungry for it.
Yes. And I listen to them talk, and I'm just like, you're so spiritually mature. I'm in awe, you know?
Yes, but they only end up saying a "but," yes. But I think the thing that I have found is that we can speak it, but when we go through the dark night of the soul, when we go through our challenging times, can we stay in it and live it? And that's the thing that I find with some younger people is they can say it and it's so great, but they haven't really brought it into their soul yet. They're still just saying it, like it
Right.
hasn't integrated into their soul that when they go through those challenges, like it's in there.
Yes. One of my friends always, like when I was first starting in business, she always said, she gave this analogy, and I use it today. She said, you have the choice to be a thermostat or a thermometer emotionally. So when you're a thermometer, you're all over the map, like your emotions are up and down. And she said, visualize being the thermostat where you set the tone for the day and the temperature, and you try to keep around that number for the day. And I found that's helpful because I visualize like, oh my gosh, I'm being such a thermometer today. My emotions are, and
Yes.
then I'll take a pause, and I will literally stop my day to go for a walk or breath work or even 15 minutes of yoga.
Yeah.
Because when we are that thermometer where we're up and down all the time, we leak so much life force to the outside world. So I found that to be just like a helpful little tool that I use. And also,
I
like you
love
said,
that. That's good.
yeah, and it's not about being hard on ourselves, but the
Yeah.
days where I'm all over the map, sometimes I'll go to bed early that day. I will
Yeah.
have like 3 detox baths because I need more clearing. I'll do more breath work. I will disconnect from tech. You just learn how to navigate yourself better.
Yes. I'm like you also, where I sometimes feel like an emotional roller coaster, and out of nowhere, like I'll be happy, and then all of a sudden it's just this wave of sadness hits me, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, where did that come from? So yeah, I get that. I
And
get
because
that.
the planet is so volatile right now, the empaths, a lot of what are up and down is not our own stuff.
Right.
It's the waves of the planet. And so we have to be even more anchored emotionally because we'll get smacked with a wave of collective distress or fear or sad grief. And it's not how we were feeling in the morning. Well, it's not our day. We have to learn how to not let it enter the sacred spaces of us and learn how to
Yes.
clear it quick. And I think that's a new skill that I did not need 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I'm one of those 5 a.m.ers. And I get up and I take my dog for a walk. I get my tea, and that's when, I do my meditation, my journal, and it's my non-negotiable because I need it. It grounds me. And if I don't do it, I know that I'm going to get knocked over, like it's like I'm watering my roots, and I'm making them stronger. But yeah, yeah. And whatever that is for people, like maybe it's working out, taking a hot bath, calling a friend, but it's having that knowing what your anchor is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
This is a total side note, but I
Yeah.
remember reading Autobiography of a Yogi when I was in my 20s. And he really challenges the concept of attachment to your role. You're moving towards complete non-attachment. So anything you need is an attachment. And I remember reading that book and having to stop reading it because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to be non-attached to anything, my yoga practice, my meditation,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't do it. Like we're still
Yes.
human beings.
Yes.
We have to have anchoring practices and a rhythm of the day, or we're just maybe at some point we don't need all of those things. But I know when I took them all away as a test, I lost my way for a while.
Yeah.
So I didn't do well with complete non-attachment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I remember having that experience. I was reading a book on Buddhism, and I thought I would feel more enlightened, but I actually started feeling really down and depressed. And I was like, I don't think this is the right book for me right now. But it was. It's like, and some of them are still whatever it is, it's that control, right? That,
For
you
sure.
know,
But we are human, and we have personalities, and
yeah.
I think we have to honor, and again, everything in moderation. We have to
Yes.
honor where our harmonious plate path is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to talk about, because I remember you talk about this beautiful, the power words. Is that
Yeah,
what
for
you
the
call them?
year.
For the
Yeah.
year. And I love that. And I almost feel like, so this is like looking into 2026, and I almost feel like your power words are sort of like your pillars, and I want you to share that because I love that practice. And I've actually, what I do with my power words when you taught me this is that I actually try to live from that. So if somebody, let's say my power word is freedom, and if I am offered a job doing something, I'm like, does this bring me freedom, or is this? So you can use them in so many ways. So I would love you to share about that.
Yeah. And I think it's such a wonderful time of year to do the practices of intention. And it's not about rigid goal setting for the next year, but we have to learn to direct energy instead of just be, all over. And I think part of that directing the energy for the year is to be clear on where are you headed. And one of the things that I find helpful is, again, it's the vibration of the words that you're drawn to that you really want to embody for the next year. So regardless of when you're listening to this podcast episode, for anyone listening, right now we're nearing the end of the year. So it's a really great time to do this exercise, but to think about a couple of words, it can be even one, that you're intuitively just like rolls off your tongue. Grace often comes to me because I feel like that's just the place in my life that I'm at, of staying in grace when the world around me seems to be in chaos, and unkindness. So I feel like that word anchors me, and also it helps me to make decisions, and it also helps direct my behavior.
Yes.
Because we're all going to be betrayed. We can't control how other people treat us. But for me, the word grace helps me. It's like I want to answer something and I'll start like texting the answer. And then I remember that word, my
Yeah.
power word, and I delete it. And I'm just like,
Mm,
they don't care,
no.
so why would you leak your life force? It helps you not leak life force in the wrong direction. So finding that word, health, like health is such a beautiful word because yes, it means something different to all of us. For some of us, we may already be at a level where people think we're healthy, but we feel like embodying health, there's a next level. So maybe that word is like for you. Um, Forgiveness, whatever you're carrying, maybe there's a brick in your body that you're ready to let go of, but you need a word to help keep you on track with getting that brick out of the body.
I just found the word a couple of months ago when I was meditating. It came to me was radiance.
Mm,
And I loved that word. I just don't know. And it not only like not just about me, but everything around me, that radiance or freedom is another one that people love. And yeah. And it's like, what do we want to invite in?
and I agree. Freedom it's almost hard to really grasp that word. But
Mm-hmm.
the soul wants to be free. It doesn't want to have timetables and calendars. And so we have to find that healthy balance between feeling like our soul is light and free, but still functioning and thriving on the planet.
Yeah. And
So,
what is the freedom for?
mm,
Right? Like, is it,
mhm.
like, so one of the things when people want to manifest more money, it's like, well, if you peel back the layers, what does that give you? And a lot of times it's freedom
Yes,
and, freedom to travel, to spend time with my family. So sort of even going a little bit further, like what is your freedom? Like we all have different freedoms, right?
really. And also sometimes be careful what you wish for because my husband and I, we were like, we just want to grow our own food and homestead and buy a bunch of acres and make a greenhouse. And then when we did it, we're like, whoa, this is like a full-time job. We
Yeah.
don't have much freedom in this vision, but we do love it. And but it really is sometimes your vision. You have to really make sure you contemplate what's required for that vision
Mm,
to not only manifest but to be sustainable.
yes. It's funny. My husband he's my anchor also, but he often I think maybe like you just go, "Oh, this would be a great idea. This would be a great idea." Like I always envision like I'm a balloon with this
Yeah.
string and he just kind of grabs the string and is like, "All right, come back," you know? And not in a way that's preventing me from anything, but I need that because I am this, open to anything and I remember he said, coming to retirement, he said, "How do you see your retirement?" And I'm like, maybe we have a farm with all these rescue dogs and blah. And he was like, okay, we have a whole different view on what retirement is, right? But it is because he's very practical. And it's like, well, do you know how much work that would be in time? But I think you and I have sort of this romantic mind,
Mhm. Oh
right? And
yeah,
this
I was like,
dreamlike mind.
rescue the dogs. And then I'm like
Yeah.
looking for barn cats and I want to rescue horses. But even with
Yeah.
two dogs, I'm like, I have no free time in my day. I can't
Yeah.
do my yoga practice because they're kind of high maintenance right now. So you don't think of those types of things. But again, it's like there's always compromise. And also, that's why it has to be heart led, right? Not what we think everyone else what we think is the looking good vision may be fitting to our soul.
And maybe even asking when we're asking it, like, God, is this for my greater good? Is this right? And sort of even something like that, because, yeah, we don't know.
And I think sometimes you can get it and you're like, oh, this isn't, it's okay to change your mind too, right? You can
Yeah.
manifest it and then it's like, this doesn't feel like me.
Yes.
So then you're always creating.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always changing,
Yeah.
right? It's always changing. You have an event coming up. I don't know when this is coming out, but you do lots of events.
Yes.
You also have your podcast, and
Yeah.
then you have another project that you're working on. Do you wanna just share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm putting an event on November the 29th in Burlington, Ontario. It's called Detox and Destiny. And this is a gathering for women, a workshop on highest health, but it's everything we talked about today. You really do need a new set of skills to thrive in this new era. Like a lot of things that did really well for us in the past, we're just finding aren't really working anymore. And I think it's because we need a new formula for how to thrive as women, how to manifest as women. So I'm putting on a 1-day event to give sort of a 12-step formula to how to do that for the new era that we're in spiritually and energetically. So if you're interested, you can just go to spiritualsociety.com. And yeah, I have a podcast, Spiritual Society, and then I'm launching a online show
I
called
love
Spiritual
that.
Sunday.
I love that. Um, the event that you're doing, if people can't go to it, like, can they see it online? Like, are you going to record it? Is it something
Yes.
that they can?
Yes, we will have live stream tickets. We haven't opened the door to those, but we will have live stream tickets available so you can live anywhere. It's 9 to 4.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So as we begin to wrap up, is there anything that you want to leave with the listeners? Anything that you feel is important or that you want to share?
I think the one message I want to say is for anyone listening that feels that they're overwhelmed or they are struggling to find ground, you're not alone and it's not you. We are going through such a shift in humanity that I think for women especially, we're being really called to step up. And a lot of women are feeling like, is it just me? Like, I just bawl all day, or everything's really difficult, or I have so much fear in my body and nothing's working that used to work. And this is why women have to come together and just collectively join hearts and arms and support each other in such a big way. There's just no room for competition. There's also no room for unkindness or a lack of compassion. Like we all have to just raise the bar for living true, living well, living authentically.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And that's why what the work that you're doing in your podcast and everything is so important because you're putting out goodness in the world and it needs it. So thank you.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me today. It's
Oh,
every
I
time.
always love having you. I just think you are such a, you know that. I just think you're such a beautiful, beautiful soul and you have this wisdom and you hear it. And I can say to our listeners that I've experienced this firsthand is that you hear it and you go, oh, okay. But it comes to you later on also.
Mm.
Like it kind of lingers and then your soul starts to understand it. So some of the stuff I think that you say, if people are like, not sure about that, you will get the clarity in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Or sometimes like, definitely it's like, I don't really get what you're trying to say, but then when you hear it from someone else, like you
Yes.
get different messages from different,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
now I get it.
Yeah. Well, that is it for this episode. And I appreciate you so much, Lee, and also our listeners. I will be back again with more incredible guests and conversations. And I hope that they will inspire you, guide you, and support you. Until next time.